Good morning all and welcome to sunny Perth. As you can see, my topic supposedly is 30 years of feral cat management in WA. Well, unfortunately, the title provided is somewhat misleading. I don't conduct feral cat management. This is the realm of DBCA's Western Shield group. My role is more about research. So that's what I will be discussing today. So what have we achieved over time? Where do I press? That one? Yeah. Yep, thank you. So what have we achieved? Well, personally, I've amassed quite a large collection of death threats, some quite weird and bizarre. I've also managed to get high blood pressure and assorted broken bones over my journey. Rather than bore you with those details, I thought it might be more appropriate to share part of our journey. So what I would like to do in this presentation is outline some of the advances we have contributed to feral cat control. It all started some 30-odd years ago, following the failure of a reintroduction program of Golden Bandicoots and Burrowing Bettongs, otherwise known as booties, to the Gibson Desert. Failure of this program was due to feral cat predation, or principally due to feral cat predation. The project was led by two people, Per Christensen and Neil Burrows, and it was known as Desert Dreaming. It was later known as Desert Nightmare. Neil was then the Director of Science and asked us, following this failure of this program, to design and develop a feral cat bait that was attractive to feral cats, obviously, otherwise it was a waste of time, capable of carrying a toxin, could relatively easily and cheaply be manufactured, and could be deployed aerially across at a landscape scale. So initially, what we did is we examined the acceptability of various bait media representing a broad choice in physical form and type to both feral and stray cats. Cats generally sniff or lick the choices offered and then select their preference. In field trials with feral cats, what we did is we inserted cyanide capsules into the various bait medium being tested, so that cats would actually bite their preference and die on the spot, as you can see from two of those slides there, as we needed to collect cats that selected their choice. Following this, we looked at a series of flavour enhancers added a series of flavour enhancers to the most preferred bait medium to see whether consumption of baits could be further improved. This work resulted in development of the Eradicat bait. The bait is similar to a chipolata-style sausage. It's composed 70% of kangaroo meat mince, 20% chicken fat, and 10% a product called Digest, which contains a range of flavour enhancers. The bait is approximately 20 grams in wet weight, then dried to 15 grams. Each toxic bait is dosed with 4.5 milligrams of 1080. Following bait development, we then had to register the bait with the Australian Pesticides and Veterinary Medicines Authority, a fairly lengthy task, and we needed to provide them with a dossier with information on baiting frequency, baiting density, baiting efficacy, non-target bait consumption, amongst a series of other concerns and issues that they had. The Eradicat bait was finally registered for use in Western Australia in 2015 and has since been submitted for national registration. That process is still ongoing, I believe. Some people believe that cats prefer live prey. This idea may be true, it may not be. It's very difficult to test, or it would be very difficult to test. There would also be ethical problems with it anyway. However, what we do know is that feral cats do scavenge extensively. Feral cats will consume fresh carrion such as baits, if encountered, when the animal is hungry. Feral cats, unlike dogs and foxes, will only eat when they're hungry. Baiting programs are designed to maximise the likelihood of bait encounter rate. If you are considering baiting, there are a number of factors critical to its success. You need to know how to bait. Are you going to aerial deploy baits? Are you going to bait on tracks? If you are going to bait on tracks, to use bait suspension devices such as the one shown there. Wind direction should also influence how the site is to be baited to determine orientation of flight lines or indeed on-ground placement of baits. You need to know when to bait. There's no point in baiting during an eruption of prey species such as mice or rabbits. You need to look at the prey resource available. You also need to consider bait degradation, rainfall events and so on. You need to know where are you going to bait. Are you going to target specific areas or are you going to blanket bait across the landscape? In addition to the delivery of baiting programs and fundamental to the development of any control strategy, you also need to firstly sample the cat population to provide a thorough understanding of all aspects of that animal's biology relevant to control. And secondly, you need to be able to monitor control effort outcomes both reliably and repeatedly. Trapping enables the collection of much biological information that is relevant to control. It also allows for live capture and affixment of radio collars to the animals, so you can gain information on home range size, activity patterns, habitat preferences, and so on. It's also a useful follow-up technique post-baiting where eradication is required or warranted, such as small-scale areas, fenced areas, or islands, or indeed to provide additional control effort. We've recently written a standard operating procedure for padded or use of padded leg hold traps, which provides instruction on both how and where to trap. We've developed techniques to minimise non-target capture. These include a range of elevated platform traps, which makes use of a cat's ability or agility and ability to jump. We also use modified pans to more accurately set trap tension. Food-based lures are generally not used as they're ineffective if the cat's not hungry, obviously, and therefore less inclined to investigate. Also, they're more attractive to non-target species and likely to increase bycatch. So over the years, we've used a variety of other trap types, or trap lure types rather, including visuals, an auditory lure known as a feeler-attracting phonic, which emits the sound of a she-cat in estrus when she's calling. Unfortunately, the acronym FAP apparently means something else to lots of people as well, something I didn't know when I named these devices. If you need to know what it means, ask the people who are laughing. So, our preferred lure, though, is a scent lure. It's called Pongo. It's made up of cat feces and urine, a lovely mixture. Basically invokes a exploratory behaviour as cats are very curious about the presence of other cats. That's how they communicate. To monitor control effort, we've used a variety of techniques over time, from sand plots, track counts, hair snags to capture hair for DNA analysis, and more recently, camera traps. Work is still being conducted to develop an appropriate method, and it's likely to require the use of several complementary techniques. We're currently testing two different lures that are showing potential in camera traps. The first is a Long life food lure, we're doing this in collaboration with Trish Fleming, who's the lead on this particular project. And the second is an olfactory lure that's been looked at. The idea of this lure, it holds cats in view of a camera for a lot longer than lures we've used previously, so it makes identification of the cat easier, and importantly, it also encourages repeat visits. This work's been done in collaboration with Cheryl Law from our department. So delivery of sustained long-term feral cat control has led to improvement in species abundance and diversity at a range of sites, including small sites such as Dryandra and larger areas such as Mattawa, Cape Range off Exmouth, Cape Arid or South Coast sites like Cape Arid. Anecdotal evidence also suggests that other sites along the South Coast have benefited. It's anticipated that future research activities will lead to, oh sorry, I missed the important bit here. We've also had several lacklustre responses where feral cat control is not being effective, such as Francois Perron National Park, that's in Shark Bay. We hope to remedy that this year. It's anticipated that future research activities will lead to improved control across a lot of our mainland sites. Over the last 30 years or so, there's been successful eradication of feral cats from 5 Western Australian offshore islands, from Hermite Island in the Montebello's group off Karratha, Sarura Island off Onslow, 2 islands, Dirk Hartog in the western embayment of Shark Bay, and Foray Island, which is a AWC property in the eastern embayment of Shark Bay. Down all the way to Rottnest, which is 30 odd k's that away, I believe. Globally, Dirk Hartog Island is the largest island where feral cats have successfully been eradicated. There are now no more islands off the WA coast where feral cats are present. So where to from here? Currently, we're conducting trials on Eradicat version 2 to further improve, hopefully, palatability. We're also looking at the production methods to make better quality baits. We wish to assess the efficacy of targeted baiting. We want to continue development of the monitoring techniques, looking at camera trap lures, and we've recently submitted an application or grant application in collaboration with Murdoch, AWC and Bush Heritage to look at the influence of stray cats on feral cat populations. Other potential areas of investigation include integrated feral cat and rabbit control. We hope to do this year at Shark Bay as the first point. I'm keen, I guess, to continue or to start looking at the humane or measurement of humaneness during toxicosis following bait consumption. I think it's very important. And potentially we'll hopefully complete the pen trials of the Felix with PAP as the toxicant. The research we've conducted into feral cat control has made a significant contribution to conservation in Western Australia and elsewhere. DBCA is recognised both nationally and internationally in the development of control strategies for feral cats. I sit on a number of steering and technical advisory committees for projects involving feral cat eradication on other Australian islands such as Bruny, Christmas Island and French Island. You'll probably hear more about the French Island fiasco later today. I also sit on the National Feral Cat Task Force and the executive of the WA Feral Cat Working Group and its various subcommittees. I provide advice to a number of international organisations undertaking feral cat control, including those listed below. Most recently, several colleagues and I were invited to write a feasibility study for feral cat eradication on Little Cayman Island in the Caribbean. So that's our latest adventure, potentially. Finally, with my cat up, I'd like to acknowledge a number of people. To my staff, this work's all about teamwork. To past, and to the long-suffering two that are remaining, Mike Onus and Neil Hamilton. Neil's here somewhere. For their dedication, enthusiasm, and sheer bloody hard work. To two ex-directors of science, Andrew Burbidge and Neil Burrows, for their belief and their ongoing support. And finally, to an ex-director Director General, when we were called CALM, Sid Shea, for his vision and indeed his words of wisdom. Thank you.